Welcome to Beyond Tradition, podcast where we talk about the nitty-gritty of entrepreneurship and empowering partners, spouses, new entrepreneurs with knowledge, talking about a lot of topics that are uncomfortable.
Yep.
And this is Therese.
Hey.
I don't know what episode we're on.
6?
6, 5, 6? I
5,
don't know which
6,
one
or
is.
7. It's one of them.
Whatever, man.
Yep.
We're here. We're building on topics kind of as we go, knowledge as we go.
Yeah.
We've talked about having the uncomfortable conversations. We've talked about, business terms,
For sure.
terminology, kind of
Yes.
experiences, what we've learned along the way.
Yes.
This episode, we're going to talk about negotiating fair compensation or really paying yourselves within a business.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're supposed to
Firstly,
pay yourself?
how are you?
I'm good. Hanging
Yeah.
in there. Yeah. Business is going great.
Great.
Things are busy. So no
Yes.
complaints.
Yeah.
No complaints. How about you?
I don't feel great this time around.
Oh, no.
Sinus stuff, headache.
Yeah.
If it were up to me, I would be in bed right now. But
Close enough. Got a
yeah,
blanket.
I have my
a
safety
chair,
blankie.
Some sweet kicks.
Yeah. We're comfy today. So
Yeah.
pushing through, powering through. Sorry to be a downer.
But I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thanks. Same. So let's get into it.
Yeah. This one-
Compensation. For an entrepreneur, single,
Yeah.
for partners, for a single entrepreneur or a married entrepreneur with a partner that's not really in the business. There are so many dynamics that are out there.
So many dynamics.
Yeah.
Where
I
do we
think-
start?
Where do we start? I can start with
I guess single. Let's start with single.
singles. Good.
Single entrepreneur.
You can kind
Yeah.
of.
No, with no spouse. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
think, I don't know. It's every business is different, but I think
Right.
that first year, you usually don't really get to pay yourself. You're kind of living off pennies, just trying to
Mhm.
get your business to succeed.
Mhm.
So, give yourself some grace
Yeah.
and always try to stay focused on the end goal and why
Yeah.
you're doing it. The why
Yeah.
is important. And so as long as your goals are in front of you and you have some sort of plan, I
Yeah.
think you can manage it. And then compensation, I mean, the more money you make, the sooner you get to pay yourself. So
Yes.
it's one of those things.
Yeah, I remember.
Keep hustling.
Yeah.
I remember it always.
I remember the first paycheck we took from the company. I was like, "Oh my god, we just paid ourselves!"
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's something to celebrate for
Yeah.
sure. 100%.
I know getting there, and what I advise and what has always been told to me is before you're starting the business, you need to figure out how are you going to pay your bills while you're not making an income,
Yes.
right?
100%. And I think any entrepreneur, you're usually working
Mm-hmm.
one or two other jobs
Right.
while you're getting started.
Yeah,
You
that was
know?
our reality.
Unless you have the capital to just
Right.
dive in and you know what I mean?
Yeah, we did a combination.
Yeah.
We had some
Yeah.
to get started. Again, from selling our house.
Yeah.
And then we also worked as we were building. And I want to say Trev went full time April of 2019.
Okay.
And then I worked for somebody else through 2020. And then I came on full time shortly after that. I was always in the background, but
Yeah.
I had a certain level of anxiety when you give up that paycheck, that weekly or biweekly, whatever.
Yeah.
That is, at that point, you are relying 100% on yourself to make it happen and get your bills paid.
Yeah, do or die.
Yes.
There's no giving up.
And I had a local business woman. I love her to death. She's a cookie lady. She's a mobile cookie lady. Makes the best cookies ever. I
Really?
use her almost every year for my customer appreciation
That's
gifts.
right. I still haven't tried her
Oh,
cookies.
She's wonderful. But her and I were talking because she was working for another company. I was working for another company, but we both had our businesses. And she was like, "When are you going to make the leap?" And I said, "I don't know. When are you going to make the leap?" And she's like, "I don't know. Let's make it a goal and try to get there together."
Smart.
And we did. Now we can look back and we both are like, we finally did it. But we both.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally normal to
I think
share
it's
that.
normal for sure. I think it's great
anxiety.
that you found somebody. I think it's
Mhm.
hard for entrepreneurs that are working
Mhm.
maybe one or two other jobs trying to get their business started, finding
Yes.
somebody. So it's a blessing that you guys bumped
Yeah.
into each other
It
for
really
sure.
was.
Yeah, definitely.
She's great. But yeah, having that kind of person to be like, we got to do it. Like, we're going to have to make the leap and get over
Yeah.
it at some point. And it's true.
Yes.
Whoo, is it true?
Yeah.
And
Again, you got to really want it.
that's my recurring
It's
nightmare.
blind faith.
It is kinda.
Blind.
That's my recurring nightmare. It's like it's all
Really?
gonna come crashing down.
I
I won't
mean,
have money anymore.
But you know what? If it does, it does, and you get
Yeah.
back up and you do it again or you do something else because you've
Yeah.
learned so much along the way. So,
Yeah, everything
which
is
I
figure
get a lot
outable.
of eye rolls when I say stuff like that. And I was
It's
like,
true.
well, if you haven't failed in your business, one, good for you. I mean, that is something that
You
you
get a
should,
cookie.
yeah, you get all the cookies
Mhm.
and some sprinkles,
Yeah.
So, and if you can't admit failure or defeat, then
Yeah,
it's another thing that you need to work on. But
for sure. Which
back
you
to
talk about in your
compensation.
book.
I do. I talk about that in my book.
Yes.
And then it just helps.
That growth mindset.
Yeah. You got to work
Failing
through it.
forward, I think
Yeah.
is what they always say,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Fail forward.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not cliche, but it's one of those things that has said if you've read any business book, it's not failure, it's growth or a learning
Right.
experience,
It is a learning experience every time.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. So from single person, obviously paying yourself out of the business, we're set up as an LLC S corp designation. So technically it's a little bit of a tax shelter because we don't pay taxes for the business, but it flows into our personal.
correct.
So I think I'm not going to say the most tax advantageous. It is really highly specific. This is why you talk to professionals about how to
Yes.
form that business
Lawyer.
properly.
You need a lawyer,
Yes.
a business, or you can go to your CPA. They can usually, I mean, they can't tell you what to do, but they can lay out the options
Right.
from a tax perspective,
Right.
and depending on what industry you're in, you definitely need to be looking at, if you're going to stay a mom and pop, or if you
Mhm.
plan on growing
Right.
a Titan, then you need, you know what I mean? You may
Yeah.
want to set up as a corp
Right.
and not an LLC. And so,
And I think you can transition to that too when the time.
yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You definitely can when the time comes or if the time comes, but
I think the hard part too
depends
is
on your plan.
And one of the things my CPA kind of brought to our attention and advised us on is paying yourself from the business. So we get a payroll check just like our employees get a
Oh,
payroll
yeah, same.
check.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm an employee of my business.
yeah, the only thing about that is you probably need to up your tax amount that you pay because I know
Yeah.
I have my salaries set for Trevor and I in our payroll system. But I always change my federal amount to more so that we are
Yeah.
paying more,
Yeah.
unfortunately, to the government every month.
I mean,
So
I look
kinda
at it, I
eases
know,
your tax
yeah.
burden a little bit.
I don't look at it as unfortunate. It's fortunate that you're making enough money that you have to pay Uncle
but-
Sam, which, well, yeah, it sucks. We shouldn't have to pay that much.
No, I know.
But
Oh my
yeah,
God,
I
I know.
mean, that's a
I'm kind of nervous.
different conversation for a different day.
For sure. But
But-
figuring out that fair compensation. So as
Yeah.
a couple, when
Yeah.
I was not as involved, I didn't pay myself as much, obviously.
Right.
But then when I really stepped into the role and took over a lot, managed a lot more, we had to have those conversations. I said, listen, now granted, the way I'll just give us like our example. We have a business account and we payroll ourselves. And then we have a joint account. And
Mhm.
then we have our own single accounts.
Okay,
So,
great.
and then we have a joint savings account too. So each month we've got money that goes directly to the savings account for the joint, for the two of us.
Yeah.
That doesn't really get touched unless we want to or need to. Then I will run payroll that gets all deposited into our joint account.
Okay.
Trev gets his cut, I get my cut.
Yeah.
Something that we had to really talk about is I have multiple businesses.
Yeah.
And something that kind of dawned on me, and I didn't have the vocabulary to really have the conversation properly, but with me giving my time and energy and effort, even at 90% capacity to Loft and Plumbing, I'm not able now to put that towards my real estate.
Yeah.
My real estate business still costs money. Like it's not
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
And like my car, my car payment, my insurance, my insurance, my cell phone, that all comes out of my real estate because I
Yeah.
primarily use all that for my real estate
Yeah,
business.
for sure.
But that being said, when I'm not able to put time and energy to make money, to make sales, right? How is that fair, right? Like at this
Yeah.
point. So I had to have that conversation with him kind of and say like, "Hey, I still have these expenses that they don't go away just because I'm working for Loft and Plumbing 100% of the time or
Yeah.
90% of the time
Yeah.
now, right?"
Yeah.
All of his stuff is ran through the company. So his $1,000 or his cut, whatever it is, I don't even think that was what it was before. But his cut of the money each month goes to what?
A
Whatever he wants.
stockpile? Yeah,
Yeah, whatever
exactly.
he wants, right?
New
Because
truck parts?
yeah. Whereas my cut of the money is
Yeah.
going to what? Is going to fund that other business, which is my
Yeah.
decision, but like also there has to be that conversation. And
I
there
can't see him caring if you're like, "Hey,
he doesn't care.
yeah, can I have I wanna go."
Yeah, I need extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need extra to
I wanna
fund
go.
this.
Yeah, exactly. I wanna go to the spa today. He'd be
Right.
like, "Okay."
Yeah, he doesn't care.
And we're like, "Here."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I did kind of make it even in
Yeah.
that my hair
Yeah.
my hair comes out of the joint. So, it is what it is.
I'm sure when he gets haircuts, it comes out of the
He
joint.
does not get haircuts.
I know, but it's one of those
Yeah.
or whatever grooming, you know what I mean?
Yeah. His is more Wawa stops.
Yeah, okay, see, that's fair. That's fair then.
Yeah. So, we've worked to balance that.
Freaking Wawa.
I know. But that was a conversation that had to be, and I kind of felt bad for a while because I was like, one, haven't been able to when you don't put effort towards a real estate business, you don't make money. You don't make
Yeah.
sales.
Yeah.
And especially when I
I
was
can see that.
sick, like from November to essentially April, May, there was no me
Yeah.
working. There
Not
wasn't-
that business for
no.
sure.
There was no showing houses. There was no answering phones, cold call. There was none of that.
Yeah.
I was just surviving, right?
Yeah. So true.
Right. So now what, right? Like that's
Yeah.
8 months, 6, 7 months of expenses without the ability to work, but whatever work I could do was Loft and Plumbing.
Yeah, so I mean, you were still technically working, but not to the full extent for the real estate
Oh yeah.
business.
I'm crazy in that I bought a hospital bed or hospital tray
Oh
desk
yeah. Yeah.
so that I could work from bed. So you would
I love
see
it.
me, and I had the bed that goes up and down anyways. So
I love it so
my
much.
bed would be set up, and I would just be laying in bed clicking.
Hey, I mean,
that's all I could do
yeah.
to get anything done.
Yeah. I love that. I bet you still use it to this day.
To this day.
It's
I
gonna be
wheel it around my house too.
Yeah,
so if I wanna
exactly.
work from the couch, I can work from the couch.
Exactly.
What's great?
I love that so much.
It goes up and down, so I can stand up to work. Like it was
That's actually really nice.
$100 on Amazon. It was the best idea I've
Oh,
ever had.
Amazon.
But now you have to be within reason because you can lay in bed at 10 and 11 o'clock at night.
No, you got to
right?
push it out of the room at
Mhm.
nighttime when you actually need to sleep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when it goes out the door.
Right. So when you're having those conversations, when you're thinking about these things, one, you obviously have to take in consideration your cash flow, your income,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But then, and your professional licensed person can tell you this too, you have to pay yourself a fair wage when you start W-2ing yourself. So you can't, it has to be what? Reasonable compensation is what they say.
Yeah. Can't pay yourself.
20 grand
Yeah.
when you would be making, or you are worth technically.
Yeah.
So as we've grown,
Or over. I've seen people pay themselves too much and they
Mhm.
don't really leave anything in the business.
oh yeah.
And that can come back and bite you
Mm-hmm.
as well. So it's there's a balance.
There's
for sure.
a balance. And especially if you're trying to like buy a house, obviously most lenders, they're going to need 2 years of you being in business, proving that you're profitable essentially before they're going to give you a mortgage. And it sucks that entrepreneurs are punished in this way because we're outside of the norm, right?
Yes.
It is what it is though. You learn that there has to be a balance. So if you are W-2ing yourself, you have to think like that W-2, that pay stub is what is going to be used
Yes. For everything.
lending documents,
For all if you want any
rent.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So I
You
mean,
want to buy a new truck or if
Right.
you need a new truck, like everything.
yeah,
So yeah, you have to be it's definitely a bigger picture,
yes,
not just Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there would be years where you don't have to pay yourself as much,
Yeah.
right? But then I remember when we were working to buy a house, I said, "We have to start paying ourselves enough to prove, like,
Yeah,
right, we're still
for sure.
profitable,
Yeah.
we're taking home this pay." It just makes your life a whole lot easier.
Yes.
Obviously, they have non-conforming loans out there. I'm not
Yeah.
a mortgage person, I'm not gonna speak on all of that yet.
I have know nothing about it. I
Oh,
mean, I know basics,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's
There
about it.
are, like, bank statement loans, you're gonna pay higher interest. There are
Oh, okay.
non-conforming loans,
Yeah.
stuff like that for entrepreneurs. Those things are out there, but I will say, I had a really great mortgage person, and she was able to get us a conventional loan.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it was basically because that was Trevor's trade previously, and now we're still in that same trade, so she was
Okay.
able to use his
That's
previous
really nice.
genius. Would
Yeah.
have never guessed. So, common pitfalls, and I think that's kind of mentioned, just now, underpaying yourselves
Yep. Or overpaying yourself.
or overpaying yourself.
Yep.
And then obviously we need when you're in a business with your spouse, partner, you need to be evaluating your roles, responsibilities, who's doing what, of what value. I will say for us, it's like if I were only doing the accounting, bookkeeping stuff,
Yeah.
sure, pay me 20, 25 bucks an hour.
Yeah.
Where we're at now, Trevor are we're within
Oh,
we're
100%.
equal, right?
Yes.
Um, I pay
'Cause
him a
you have
little
to
bit more just because he is the license holder, I think, but
yeah, but I mean, you have to think you're doing the role of 3 you're the office manager,
mhm,
you know what I mean?
CFO,
You're the yeah, you're
CEO,
exactly. So, it's not
IT,
it
AR, AP.
you're yeah, that's what I mean, they're doing the permitting, you know, like, if
Right.
you hired all this out, that's 6 different jobs you just named that
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever got big enough, you would hire people for these.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I think, you know, where yes, he's running the cruise and he's doing the jobs, but it's still
Yeah.
only a management position.
Mhm.
It's one position.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or maybe 2 if he's ordering all the supplies if your guys aren't doing that themselves or if you're doing that.
Yeah.
So, again,
Yeah.
it's yeah, you have but you guys have found your balance, which is huge, and
Mhm.
again, it comes to I think communication and respect, which we talked about in the
Right.
last episode, that
Yeah.
there has to be a lot of communication and then a lot of respect for one
Mhm.
another.
Calm conversations, which
Yes.
can be very difficult.
And then the spouse, that helps the business and doesn't receive pay.
Oh. Mm. One of my
So,
pet peeves, and I'm gonna speak on it because it was literally kind of the driver for us starting Beyond Tradition is
yeah, this is one of these sensitive topics nobody likes to talk about, and it's
right.
real awkward, but
But if you're helping that business,
mm,
one, you should have ownerships. If you are married to the partner and
if you're
right?
married to them
Mhm.
and you are supporting them and not allowing allowing is a
Right.
strong word, but
Yeah.
supporting them to be an entrepreneur and
Right.
to run their own business and take this risk with them
Uh-huh.
because at the end of the day, you an entrepreneur can bankrupt themselves
Uh-huh.
and their family.
And their family.
So, it's one of those things if you have this spouse or partner that is
Mhm.
supporting you and they're helping you run your business and it hasn't dawned on you to either pay them
Mm.
or honestly give them a percentage of
Yeah.
ownership of your company,
Right.
I think that's a discussion that needs to be on the table.
Major discussion.
You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
there's different, you
And
know,
yeah, and even if it's not like let's just say this is a super traditional gender role stereotype here, but it is still pretty prevalent in our society today. Husband owns the business, is the entrepreneur. Wife is at home. But wife is helping run the household. Wife gives up her earning
because
potential.
if they chose this, you know what I mean? They chose for her to stay
If
home. Sorry, hang on.
yeah.
Sorry.
If but also sometimes there it's very, very, I would say rare. Fun fact, like we sent the other day, women couldn't own their own businesses until 1988.
I mean,
That was the year
I
you were
didn't
born, not to age you.
how dare you throw that out there?
Women could not
Son
own
of
their
a
own
gun.
business until
Yes.
1988. So that was how many years
October of
ago?
1980. That's what, again, I didn't did you fact check that?
Yes.
You did, and that's
Yes,
true?
it's true.
So how, I
I
mean,
mean, we
it was
couldn't have our own mortgages until the
30,
70s.
it was 36 years ago.
So imagine.
Thanks for aging me. You're welcome,
So I
everybody.
don't think that, I mean, honestly, now we have, as women, have a lot more rights. We have a lot more equality. We're still getting there. I think we're moving in the right direction. But you can't change society in 36 years when it's a 250, however old we are now, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think it's older than that. I think,
oh, for sure.
yeah, it's started a long, long time
Now,
ago.
I'm not a history major. I like
Neither am I.
sociology a lot.
It's one of those, I like it to a degree, but I think everybody, it's so extreme, it seems. There's not a lot of people in the middle. It seems
Right.
like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
rage baiting is a thing.
Oh yeah,
right?
100%.
I can rage bait real quick, and we can have a clip that's gonna go
I have
viral.
no thank you. I want zero part of that. Zero part of that.
But back to
But yeah.
that, like women could not own their own businesses until the 80s, even if that was 80, 88, 89, whatever.
It's
So that's still
mind
only
blowing.
30 years ago.
Mind blowing.
So the dynamic still, a lot of the times, is the husband owns the business and the wife stays at home. Wife for
Right.
nurturing. Again, we're not advocating that you can't do that. Absolutely.
Oh, I
do
have
that.
friends that love being
Yes.
stay-at-home moms. Again, we've talked about this
We love
earlier on.
that.
We love that. I support you. It is the hardest job in the world. I
Yep.
don't care what anybody says.
Yep.
If you have not stayed home with your children,
Do not tell me that.
yeah,
it's
and
easy.
I'm talking days, not just like,
Yes.
oh, I was there for like 4 hours and
no.
I put them to bed. No,
Days.
I'm talking days.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to hear it.
And the mental
So-
capacity or mental load
Mhm.
running a household and taking care
Yeah.
of the kids.
Still
and the
doing
house
all
and
the laundry, still
Yeah.
doing all the everything.
that in
So,
itself
yeah.
is a reason to be compensated.
Yeah.
And
And usually I think there's a balance, I think, at least
for
with my
sure.
friends, that are stay-at-home moms, they are, I don't want to say allowances, but like they can basically
right.
buy what they want and what they need.
And is
You
there
know what I mean?
long-term financial
Yeah.
security set?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
again, this is like we want everyone to recognize and take very seriously. For me, at least my passion is set yourself up financially. So yes, you have a partner or a spouse that's an entrepreneur, and yes, they're very successful. What happens, right? And how?
Yeah.
And that's what this is for.
Because you don't get married planning for a divorce.
You don't.
You don't think it's not even on the table,
Yeah.
when you get married.
And it
but
happens,
It
and
happens.
I know it can happen to both genders. I know people
Mhm.
and things. I'm not saying that this doesn't happen to men either, but
Right.
this is for everyone.
For
You
everyone,
need
yeah.
to be thinking about your financial future. What happens?
Right.
What happens?
Think if Trev worked for a plumber, you
Yeah.
guys didn't have your business, but you had your real estate business.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would still have him as a percentage of an owner.
Right.
Because he's, and he
If
should.
my business was
yeah.
making millions and he was at home
Yeah.
with, I mean, you literally, when you go home, your earning potential, your earning power, being out of the workforce, that's a consideration that needs to be talked about, thought about.
Yes.
Because when you are forced to now enter that workforce, should something happen,
Or your
health. It's
or
not
your
even
kids,
divorce.
or if your kids just get too old and there's
Right.
no, or if you're bored, like your kids are in high school, they're driving, and
Right.
you're just like, I don't want to be home.
But like, what happens
yeah.
to that primary breadwinner? If something, it could be health.
Yeah,
It could be
true.
Yeah. Death. It could be divorce. But then you're re-entering that workforce, and your earning potential has decreased significantly because your years spent outside of it, right?
Yes.
So
and it's
that's-
difficult to even get hired, honestly.
Right.
It's real. I've seen many women struggle to get hired.
so what,
you
and
know,
you're making
from-
$18
Yeah.
an hour. You
And
cannot
now you're-
survive on 18 here.
Not here. No, no, not at all. Unless you have 4 roommates
Right.
in a 2-bedroom
Right.
apartment. Good luck. Have fun.
And so that's kind of the thing, is like, for sure, compensation is like a big topic that, we talk about how to pay, what to consider. And I want to touch on the fact that, like, even if you're not like me and running the business and very hands-on in it, even if you are just that household person, you still need to be thinking about your future financial self. And
Yes.
even if that is not an immediate thing, it needs to be, okay, well, once we are profitable, once we do have this money, once you are getting payroll checks, once you are funding and taking care of,
Yeah.
then let's talk about even,
Or even an ownership
yeah,
percentage of
an
the
ownership
business. You know what I
percentage.
mean? I think,
Ha-
yeah.
y- Possible tax advantage. 401ks. Have them start contributing to a 401k that is yours.
Yeah.
That's a tax
Yeah.
deduction, write
Yeah.
off, whatever for the
Yeah.
business. Think about those things.
Yes, for sure.
Advocate for yourself.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's hard though. I think people feel like the spouse can't feel like they have a right to. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not going to explain this right, but you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you say you started we'll go back to your real estate business. You
Mm-hmm.
do everything for it.
Right.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes.
Does Trevor have a right to it?
If he's taking care of the house, and again, my deodorant is appearing without me having to think about it.
That's a
Okay.
thing?
Right. That's not for me, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if I didn't
Yeah.
have that mental load and he was taking care of my house so that I could put all of my time and attention and effort into that business so that we're successful, then yeah,
Right. But I don't think the norm feels that way.
the norm does not feel that way.
Yeah. And so I think that that's like probably the hardest yeah. I know. This is why we're here.
Beyond tradition.
But I think us helping these spouses, it's not even like standing up for yourself. It's just having these conversations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you need to the best time to have these conversations are when you're on good terms. I
Yeah.
wouldn't throw this out if you're in an argument about
Right.
something already.
Mm-mm.
But I think it's definitely if your partner is your best friend.
Yeah.
They're your spouse. You
Right.
know, like you want the best for them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see why you wouldn't want to share your business with them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And especially if they start
If you're not
contributing,
working for
too.
them, like if you're
Right.
not working together and both
Yeah.
taking like equal paychecks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's clarify that. If you're both in there and you're both working,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I get it.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely still ask for a percentage of the company since you're putting the sweat equity into it in a
Mhm.
sense. But if
Yeah.
you're not, you still should stand again, I don't want to say stand up for yourself.
It's
I
not
don't know.
it's more like
It's just
empowerment.
Yeah.
And I hate
And
using
to
that, just throwing it out there all the time.
Yeah.
But it's really,
It's just like you said, I guess it's just to secure your future, you know, because things do happen
Mm-hmm.
and not just divorce. It could be if your husband passes away, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And now you're stuck with trying to figure everything out. But if you're already a part of the business, you're already a part owner, it
Right.
just goes all to you. And then you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to deal with all of it. So,
I mean, and the other,
it's so bad. It's like it's divorce and death.
divorce and death. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. Real downer
That's
here.
uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but
it is
here we
uncomfortable,
are.
but it's one of those. It's definitely
That's real life.
conversations. Yeah.
And the other, obviously dynamic that's in there is that both partners, one has a really lucrative career and is making their money with their job, and the other is the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Now, in that case too, there still needs to be, and a lot of people get caught up on 50-50, right? These are our bills, we're going 50-50. And that gets really sticky and can, I think, cause a lot of resentment because in reality too, especially if there's like a big difference in pay.
Mine was always a percentage.
A
Like
pay
if
inequity.
you get paid this much, I get paid this much. Let's find the so if I'm
Yes.
70% and you're only 30% of the bills, then
It's
that's what we're
equitable.
doing for now. You
Right?
know what I mean? Until the circumstances change.
Yeah. It's not equity. And that's what I said. I was like, it's not equal. You don't want equality when it comes to this. You want
No.
equitable. Equitable
Yeah.
is the word that you use. You
Yeah.
want an equitable split to the bills
Yeah.
and according to your pay
Yeah, exactly.
and your
If
situation.
you're making, more than me, then
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for me to be able to keep up. It's just putting
Yeah.
a financial burden.
Which
you
isn't
know,
fair if
on-
you think
no.
about it. Like,
And why would you want that for your partner or your spouse or the
Again.
person that, I mean, that's mind blowing to me in
It
and of
is.
itself. But
financial abuse is real.
yeah, but I think it's also one of those things that when you like Trev blindly trusts you with
He
that,
does.
and that's wonderful. That's what
It's
it
so
should
nice.
be. And I think that's how it starts out for a lot of people. I think you only turn,
Mhm.
what is the word I'm looking for? It's not cynical, but like
Jaded.
jaded. You don't
Yes.
turn jaded until it happens to you. And
Fair.
that's when
You learn a lot of
You learn a
lessons.
lot of lessons, and then that's
Yeah.
when you're just like, I don't know about this. Yeah.
But that's why we're here, is to kinda give everyone that again, the knowledge.
I bet if we ask
Oh,
everybody, "Go ahead, give us your stories," I can guarantee you know one person
right.
that something happened
Mhm.
within their family, whether health,
Yeah.
divorce, whatever it is, and that someone got screwed. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
One of the a spouse was totally screwed over,
Mhm.
and yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
mhm.
But we're hoping to, of course, like, talk about these things to get you thinking and to give you the knowledge so that you can have the
Yeah, for
conversations
sure, and to
even when
give
they
you
don't
the
feel good.
encouragement to do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. The worst that happens is that your partner says no or they don't like that idea.
Uh-huh.
And then that turns into a laundry list of questions why anyway.
Therapy.
Yeah, that's probably for marriage counseling,
For
you know what I
sure.
mean?
Mhm.
Because
And of course, I mean,
yeah.
I don't like negotiating, to be honest. That's kind of the next step is when you're talking about compensation within a business, right? Especially
Yeah.
a family business. So I have 2 family members that work for us,
Yeah.
and I told them going in, like, we're not doing that. I'm not going to do this and not pay you a fair wage. Like,
Yeah.
you get paid what I would pay anybody else. And I touch base with them every year.
Well, and
Do you
it's
need more?
well, and
Are
it
you okay?
yeah.
Right?
And I like that it's fair because I had the opposite where I had family members that wanted to but they wanted more than what
They were worth.
they were worth, and it
Mhm.
was just like
That's icky.
and yeah, I was just like, "That's not fair for you to put that on us." You know what I
Mhm.
mean? When yeah, it was
No.
not fun.
That's a boundary,
Yeah, it is a boundary,
of
and it was
course,
one of those so it goes both ways for
for sure.
sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Need to have
yeah.
that, again, boundary is something new to me, setting boundaries, talking
Yeah.
about boundaries, all of that, but definitely that's a hard conversation to
It's
have.
a very hard conversation. That's why I always for me, if you cannot hire family,
Mhm. Fair.
it just saves a lot of drama.
That's fair.
But I understand like when you were getting started, it was easier because they were people you trusted.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I get
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah, and then balancing your business needs with your personal finances. So obviously, we have a big issue. No, I don't want to call it an issue, but something that's a reoccurring theme within our society is living above your means.
oh god, well, yeah. I
Right?
mean, social media has put
Yeah,
unrealistic lifestyles out there
right.
and people forget that
Yeah.
they're paying to take
I'll
pictures
never
next to a
keep up with the
Lamborghini.
Joneses,
Yeah,
right? I don't
exactly.
care
Get
about
off.
any of that. But
No. Good for
um
you. I mean, good for you if that's a goal and you made it. That's
yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
You know what I
If your
mean?
goal
But
is to have a Lambo, how about it, Hoss?
get it.
Right? Private jet? How about it, Hoss?
Yeah.
Can't say that I'm above that, but
I mean, I think a membership, a private
yeah,
jet. I don't want to own one because
no,
there's just
fair.
a lot of maintenance, and then
Uh-huh.
like, I think it's like one of those things
The
like you have
share
to
of a
use
plane.
it. Yeah, but
Yes.
I mean,
A share of a yes.
I just want to be a part of one of the fly clubs,
Mhm.
where I can
Mhm.
just call and book it and then
Man,
be done.
is that an 8-year or a
No, it's
5-year plan?
2025 goal.
Okay.
What are you talking
I
about?
love that. That's a goal because
2025,
I
baby.
love to travel, right? Like, I would just die, and I gotta
Yeah.
figure out how to get Walter to the Bahamas. So, Walter's
Private plane, you just throw them in there.
65 pounds of
Yeah.
fluff in the plane.
It's
I
just
love it.
they just take weight.
They
I
do.
mean,
They do.
they just ask at what everybody weighs and what we're
Right?
bringing on
The
and
fact that I oh
yeah.
god, had I had him though, I would not have come back, I don't think. If I had my kid there and my dog,
Yeah. I love
can't
how
say
you
that
only
I'd come
bring
back.
one with you. That's really mean. She has 4, so the fact that she's only bringing 1 and
Yeah.
leaving the rest behind, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, see, but you really have to balance your business needs. What does your business need to grow? Do you have the money to pay yourself? What are you paying yourself? And then your personal needs. So,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it does mean sacrifice in the beginning.
But that's why you're doing this because
Mhm.
you see the bigger picture, you see the end goal, and you know you
Yeah.
can achieve it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Profit first is a strategy. Have you um I've heard about the profit first, and you essentially set aside your profit. Again, you have to know your profit and your margin.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see this.
And then you, from there, once you get your profit pulled, then you determine your salaries.
I mean, that's how I've done it.
Yeah.
Because how else would you be able to determine your salary? And, you
Yeah.
can't just pay yourself what the going rate is.
Right.
Because if your business isn't pulling in that going rate, you obviously can't pay yourself that.
Right.
But again, this is one of those balances where I know contractors that they take all their profit at the end of the year. And it's just well, that's great. But one, did you need all of it? Two, let's set up emergency funds for the business.
Right.
Let's, you know what I mean? Let's invest some of it. Let's, build a financial plan
Yes.
that for growth and for long-term growth, not
Right.
just, oh, I want this right now.
Right.
But
what
again,
you see so much too, especially in our trades, is let's go buy that brand new pretty truck.
Yeah, and a boat, baby.
And a boat.
I always go back to the boat because if I have one more contractor say, I mean, it's only a 23-footer. I'm like, no,
shut up.
I'm like, you don't.
It's just it's just a $95,000 F-250 that's lifted. And shut the. But
Yeah.
you do not need a 2024.
No, and
Sorry, guys.
you don't need a $100,000 truck. It's a truck.
Right?
Oh my gosh, there's so many other vehicles.
Listen, that's a whole conversation that will really rage bait a few people.
Yeah, I know. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're beautiful.
They are beautiful.
I mean,
I love them.
Again, I like the 550s with the flatbeds on the back of them. If I'm gonna pick a truck, a dual, you know what I mean?
Big booty Judies. That's what they call them because they're the Ford F-250 dualies.
Yeah.
Listen, they're beautiful.
They
I
are.
get it.
But if you're
they're
not
beautiful
on a ranch or if you're not running a hardcore construction company, you know what I mean? There's zero reason.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah. Let's
and
not get clicks for that.
Right.
We're not starting a fight. Okay. Nobody.
I'll fight you in the comments.
Oh my gosh, get out of here. No, I'm not stepping one foot into that conversation.
Yeah, but is that reinvestment or is that personal compensation? So it's kind of sure, if you're doing, of course, if you've got that expendable cash, it can be a write-off. But we don't see, yes, there are big guys that can do that. And
yes.
100%.
But usually they know where their profit margin is. So they're increasing their salary throughout the year. Or sometimes they'll just take a bonus at the end of the year, but they're never taking all of the profit out of the company.
Right.
But I think in the early years of being an entrepreneur, you're just oh my gosh, I'm making all this money. Let's go do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And it's
I can afford that truck.
Exactly.
I'm gonna go get that truck.
Exactly. And so instead of just taking a moment to follow again, but if you don't have a plan,
right,
and if you don't have a budget, you don't have a plan, you don't have some sort of strategy in place,
right,
I think it can be very easy.
And again, that's grounds for divorce. If you go do that, again, we all know that. I'm not going to go buy what I love. What is it? The G-Wagon, the box. Would I love that? Yeah. Am I going to ever go pull that trigger without talking to Trevor first? Absolutely not. No? I can't even say that I would even do it because I don't care that much. But
no,
cars isn't a priority to me, right? I'd rather have a house.
Yeah,
international, right?
I'd rather have a few houses international, but that GT3 RS,
it's
calling my name, man.
I got a Rolls Wraith on my mind.
Really?
But, yeah.
I don't. Those kind. Yeah, I mean,
listen, but yeah, those are conversations and boundaries and kind of all the things to think about when you're especially because there is a different. You start, you're hustling, you're going, and then you're kind of in a coasting where hey, money's coming in. I got this to do this. I got this. But what are your priorities? That goes back to your goals too.
Yeah. Well, and
what's important to you?
Or, and when you set these goals and you're working towards them, but then you get off track by shiny things. And so,
listen.
And that's never been a problem for me. But with partners in the past, it's been a problem. And so it's one of those, I'm like, yeah, I get it. We're making great money. It doesn't mean we need to start doing different things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or acting a different way
Right.
and then that, yeah.
I still buy my clothes from Amazon,
Oh,
so
yeah, forever. I'm Shein. Are you
about
kidding? Amazon's too expensive. How dare you? Okay.
the only thing I
How
will
it's Shein,
say
right? How do you say it?
Shein.
I'm sorry.
I did bite and I do get Lulu's, but I will tell you, Lulu yoga pants cannot be duplicated. I have tried all the dupes. I have
I don't
tried
like
them
their
all.
yoga pants.
I love them. The
No.
Aligns, they're like butter, but you
Nope.
cannot beat them. I've tried. I've tried.
Yeah.
Um, that's about the only splurge that I'll even
I'm a
consider.
food. I spend a lot of money on food.
And
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah.
I'm a travel whore.
I'm starting to get back into traveling,
Yeah,
but
you've had babies.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So life's been different, but yes, it's mostly food.
Hmm. I love food.
Lots and lots of food.
Obviously, I
So
love food. I don't miss a meal.
get out of here.
Awesome. So
All right.
recap us. What did we talk about? Compensation.
Yeah, compensation, communication, planning,
Yeah.
and then
Considerations
yeah,
when you're
yeah,
figuring out
and
compensation.
just having that really tough conversation of, if you don't technically work for the business, maybe, and
Yes.
you're doing work for the business and you're not being paid.
Compensated,
Yeah,
right.
I would just maybe have that conversation and just put it out there and
Mhm.
get a feel for it. But again, at the end of the day, if this is your person and this is your partner and your spouse and your best friend, I don't see where any sort of
Yeah.
hesitation or pushback would come
Right.
from. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
And if you are getting pushback, time to really think about things, reevaluate things, suggest therapy. I would say the Gottman
I would ask
method.
why. I would
Mhm.
definitely ask why there's
Mhm.
pushback. Like what I would want to know the underlying reason
Right.
because from
Yeah.
experience, my mind goes to what are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
yeah. So,
But
yep.
open, honest, transparent, accountability,
Yeah,
uh communication
for sure.
between business partners, spouses, everything.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. I think that's it, guys.
Yep.
If you have comments, please do not rage beige this
Rage
woman.
bait.
Rage
I'll
bait.
fight
Is
you
that
in
what
the
it calls?
comments.
Please
Rage bait.
don't. Please don't. Okay. We don't need any of that. I will shut that down real quick. Oh my gosh. And
Gonna have to hold me back.
or if you've experienced this yourself,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear your feedback. If
For
you've
sure.
approached your partner already about this, we would love to hear from you. Or
Yeah.
if you want to and you're scared
Yeah.
shitless, hit us up
Yeah.
and we will help walk you through it.
Cheerleading.
Yeah, cheerleading. And
Yep.
so like us,
Yep.
subscribe,
Reach out.
follow us on all the social platforms. They're listed below. We're on everything.
Yeah.
So, all right. See you next time.
Bye.